Okay, remember that chair I said we were going to work on? Well, we're going to get started on it today. First thing I got to do is get the cushion off. Well, I know this is an old chair because what they did, they just covered right over the top of the burlap. I mean, it's a pretty pattern, definitely aged. But now we have this back piece. I think they call it the back stretcher. Not real sure. We've got this corner brace here that's going to have to come out, and as you can see on the back we just have a couple of screws, so we need to get this off so that we can get this corner off. So we'll do that. And we know it's been repaired before because they've used Phillips screws. Normally back then in those other days, the heydays, they used to use common screws, or flathead is what most people know them by. Oh boy, it's glued. There we go. Got it broke loose. I really didn't want to cut it. End up cutting all the stuff out of the way. Yeah, this has got Elmer's glue on it, so this has been repaired before. I bet it's the same. I bet it's the same thing. Anyway, well let's see if we can't. Oh boy. Let's see if we can't knock this apart. One thing I have found out about cracks over the years. If a crack is in a strain, even though you can pull it together with a clamp, over time with moisture in the air, it's eventually going to break loose. So it's best to pull it apart, get all the dowels out of it, clean it up, clamp it together, let it set overnight, then put her back together. One of these days I may have a real shop, don't know when. But in any case, okay, I've got a dovetail saw. It's got a piece on the back because it's really designed for what it's meant for, dovetails on drawers and cabinetry work. But the nice thing about it, it's really, really thin. It's like a hacksaw blade, and it's got very little set, which means the set means one tooth is one way, the other tooth is the other way. And when it starts binding up as you're cutting, that means the set is starting to relax, going back to the binding up because the set's starting to relax. Alright, let's see what we can do about getting this cut. Okay, there's one. See, everything else is fine, so we want to leave the rest of the chair alone. Yeah, the back part needs to be glued. So let's see if it'll come apart before we end up cutting this other one out, because this is good and solid here. Okay, we're going to see if we can't break this back apart. Oh man, that's great. We got one good dowel, which is great, and then we got two smaller ones, two other ones that are broke. So we'll have to drill them out. One's completely missing here. Of course, that's the one that pulled out okay, but the other two are broke. So we'll have to cut them out. Cut them flush, and then we'll drill them out. So this is the part I was going to show you of how to redo these dowels. Okay, now I'm going to get to the front of this. You remember, this is the one that was cracked across there, and I was right. Of course, I know you all were too. That crack is right on top of a dowel, but it's also a little piece right here. So really the rest of it from there down is in great shape. So we could have been just in good shape just by gluing it, but you never know until you get it out. So we're going to drill these dowels, and then we'll have to drill the ones out in the leg too. I've got this really old pencil sharpener. I don't even know if they still make these things. I use this one all the time. You can tell I've had it for quite a while. But you can see it does all different kinds of pencils. The only thing I won't do is the carpenter pencils. Anyway, put this back on there. I'm going to sharpen me a pencil because I need a really, well, I already have. I did it earlier. I've got a pencil that's got a really, really sharp point on it. And that's what I'm looking for, a really sharp point. Alright, let's go to work. Alright, what I've got to do is I've got to get as close, and I do mean as close as I can, to the center of these dowels. So I'm just going to freehand me some center marks here. This is the one we definitely need to get out for sure to close this gap up. Alright, let's get us a drill. We'll get half that size, which these are 3/8 dowels, which I don't have any, but at least we can get these drilled out. Alright, when we get ready to do our first bit, we don't want to go through too far. In other words, we don't want to go too close to the end because that's going to weaken it. So we just want to go down just a little bit. So we just put a little piece of tape across there. And what we'll do is we will tape all the, we will drill all the little holes first. Then we'll start coming back, because what we have to do, we start with a little drill bit, then we go with a little bit bigger one, then we go a little bit bigger one, until we start hitting one of these sides. Once we hit the sides and clean it up, that's as far as we want to go. We want to try to keep the same size 3/8 dowel that we can. And the way you do a drill bit is when it gets in there and stops, you're pushing on it, but it stops drilling in. What's happened is it's filled up full of sawdust and junk. You need to take it out and clean it off, because what all you'll do is you'll just burn the bit up. Okay, we're going to the second one. See how this just fills up those. You want to keep your drill bit cleaned out.